Hello, everyone. Hopefully, everyone is doing well. This is Dr. Looney again, and bringing you another video. This week's lesson is going to be over area of composite figures. So let's go ahead and get into the definition of what is a composite figure. A composite figure is just going to be a figure composed of basic shapes. So basic shapes. And later on in the video, I'm going to give you an opportunity to write down what I consider the basic shapes. But this is just an example of a composite figure. So this composite figure is going to be composed of a triangle and a rectangle. And so again, this is a composite figure because it's composed of two basic shapes, and that's going to be a triangle and a rectangle. So this is just to give you an example of the type of shapes, or one of the possible type of shapes that you will be able to uh, find that area of at the end of this video. So this is a composite shape. Make sure you stop the video, write down the definition of a composite figure, because it is going to be composed of basic shapes. All right, so let's look here on the next page. We're actually going to talk about what the basic shapes are, and I'm going to give you the area of those basic shapes. So let's first start out with a rectangle. So a rectangle, this is the rectangle. The area of a rectangle is going to be length times width. This is what the shape looks like. So your width is here and your length is here. So in order to find the area, you just multiply whatever the length is times the width. And these are things that we know. That's why they call basic shapes, because they're shapes that we're familiar with. The next one is a square. And to find the area of a square, you just take the sides and you multiply them together. So basically, a square is just a rectangle, but in this case, the length and the width are the same, has the same value. Another basic shape is going to be a circle. So again, this is another shape that you are familiar with. If you want to find the area of a circle, it's going to be equal to pi r squared. You're going to see this particular word in your quiz, pi, and so that's just going to represent pi. So if you see this statement right here, if I put 3 pi, that just means 3 pi. And that's just for later on when you go to your video. And not the video, but when you go to the quiz. So you'll see that pi in some of your answer choices. All right, and then next we have a semicircle. So a semicircle just means half of a circle. So if I want to find the area of a semicircle, I'm just going to do what? Multiply 1/2 times the area of the circle. And so that's going to give me the area of a semicircle. And remember, r is your radius. So you just go to the center of the circle. So your r is going to be this distance right here. And so that is your radius of this circle, or semicircle. All right, then next we have a triangle. This is a basic shape as well. So a triangle, if you see the picture here of a triangle, we have our base here. And then this is going to be our height. So if we want to find the area of a triangle, we just do 1/2 the base times the height. And lastly, this is something that should have been introduced to you. It's a trapezoid. So you're going to have two bases. This is base 1, base 2, and then your height. And in order to get the area of a trapezoid, you're going to do 1/2 the base 1 plus the base 2 times the height. So again, you can stop the video and make sure you write down those notes. So let's actually go to an example. We're going to find the area of this particular composite figure. And so if you can see here, this area of this is going to consist of a semicircle and a rectangle. And so here we're going to go ahead and find the area of the semicircle and then the area of the rectangle separately. So if you look here, we're looking at the area of the semicircle. Well, what is the area of a semicircle? We're going to have 1/2 pi r squared. Now we know that the diameter is going to be from here to here, so this is going to be our diameter. So we know if this entire distance is 4, so the diameter is equal to 4, then we know the radius of this circle is going to be equal to 2. So here we know that to find the area of the semicircle, we're going to have 1/2 pi 2 squared, and 2 squared is going to be 4, and what is half of 4? Half of 4 is 2. So we know the area of the semicircle is going to be 2 pi. Now we easily find the area of the rectangle. And remember, the area of the rectangle is going to be the length times the width. Well, in this case, well, what is our length? The length is equal to 6. The width is equal to 4. So 6 times 4 is going to be equal to 24. So that's where we get the area of the rectangle to be 24. And so now we have the area of the composite figure. That's going to be the total area, the area of the semicircle, plus the area of the rectangle. So that's going to be 24 plus 2 pi. So that's our first example. Again, you can stop the video. Hopefully that was pretty straightforward, but let's now look at another example here. So this next example is we want to find the area of the shaded region. So we want to find this. So this is a composite figure. It is made up of 3 triangles. So it's composed of 3 triangles, and we just want to find the area of these 2 triangles. So we have a small triangle and we have a big triangle. Well, we know to find the area of a triangle, we are going to have what? We need to have, so let's first look at the area of the small triangle. We need to have 1/2 the base times the height. So we can see the base of the small triangle is going to be 3, but the height here is going to be 4 because this distance and this distance is the same, so they're 4. So that means that I'm going to have 1/2 the base, which is 3, times the height, which is 4. So that's going to give me 6, right? Because 3 times 4 is 12, and half of 12 is 6. So this is the area of the small triangle. Now let's find the area of the big triangle. Well, what is the base of the big triangle? The base of the big triangle is this total distance down here. And so that means I'm going to have to take 3 and add it to 7. So the base of that triangle is going to be 10. And the height of this triangle is going to be the height of the small triangle, which is 4, because that's that distance right here. And so we know from here that distance is 4. And so that means that my area of the large triangle is going to be 1/2 the base times the height, which is 1/2 10 times 4. And so that's going to be 20. So I want to find the area of the total shaded region. So I have to add 20 plus 6. So that gives me 26. So again, that is the second example. Hopefully that was pretty straightforward. But again, stop the video at any time to find to make sure you do understand it. If you have any questions, of course, you can always email me. All right, and so let's look at the next one. We want to find 10% more than the total area of this composite figure. And so if you look at this composite figure, it's going to be made of a square. Then you're going to get this small rectangle right here, and then you're going to get another rectangle right here. So we're going to find all of those areas, add them up, and then find out what is 10% more than that. So the first thing I did over here was find the area of the square, which is the biggest part of this particular composite figure. And so that's just going to be 8 times 8, which is 64. Then I'm going to find the area of the next to the largest shape, and I just call that the large rectangle. And so that's this rectangle right here that has a length or width, it doesn't matter which one you call it, of 3 and a width of 2 here. So in this particular case, we're going to find the area of this particular shape, which is 2 times 3. So that's going to be 6. And then lastly, we're going to find this area here of the what I consider the small rectangle. And I know this is kind of hard to read, but this is 1 feet. I'm sorry, 1 foot, and this is 2 feet. So the area of this is going to just be 1 times 2. So 1 times 2 is 2. And so now let's find the total area. So I'm going to add that big area here, which is 64 feet squared. This is going to be 2 feet squared. And then here we're going to get in here 6 feet squared. So when we add those all together, we're going to get 64 plus 8, because 2 plus 6 is 8. So that gives me 72 feet squared. So that's the total area, but I want 10% more of the total area. So I'm going to have to find 10% of 72. And remember, I told you when you want to find percentage, if it's like 10 or 100, if I want to find 10% of 72, I'll just take the decimal and move it 1 place to the left. So 10% of 72 is going to be 7.2. So that is 10% of 72. And so now I'm going to take my 10%. Since I want 10% more than the total area, that just means I add 72 to 7.2. So 10% more than the total area is 79.2. So remember, that was the question: what is 10% more than? And that's more than the total area. And this is what we get, 79.2. Now let's go to our last example. I think it is the easiest of all the examples. We're just going to be finding the area of a trapezoid. So in order to find the area of a trapezoid, we're going to first find out what our B1 is. So our B1 is equal to 12, and then my B2 is equal to 18, and then my height is going to be this perpendicular distance, because this makes a right angle here. And so that's going to be, my height is equal to h. So in order to find the area of a trapezoid, we're going to do 1/2 base 1 plus base 2 times my height. So in this particular case, we're going to get 1/2 12 plus 18 times 8. Well, 12 plus 18 is going to give us 30. So I'm going to take 1/2 30 of 30 times 8, and that's going to give me 120. I just took half of 8. That gave me 4, and I knew 3 times 4 was 12, and I added a 0, so that will give you 120. And of course, you guys have access to calculators, so you can use the calculators to help you complete these problems on your phone. I prefer not, but it is up to you if you decide to use a calculator on any of these problems. Again, hopefully this video was helpful. There will be a quiz also posted on Canvas that you will need to complete. It is 4 questions. You have 2 attempts to complete the quiz. So hopefully this video is going to help you complete those quizzes. You guys have a good day. Have a wonderful week. And I will see you on, well, I'll post another video on next Sunday, and a short quiz will follow that as well. Thank you. Have a great day.